So a good question comes from deep inside, and it comes from your heart, and it's a question that can change your life and change all of our life. So I invite you to take a breath and just listen for that voice that says, this is a question for today.
So maybe in this format we can take a number of questions. Is that okay? Or how do we want to do it?
That's good.
Yeah? Okay.
Dear Thai, dear respected teachers, and dear friends, community. My name is Tan. I practice in Oslo Sangha. I have many questions. Yes. Yes. If I can pick up one, I will ask this question. This is for one of my family member. There is one day she crying a lot because of the suffering she has, which is rooted from her parents. To save time, I don't explain more about what is the suffering. I just say that is a very deep suffering, which is rooted from her parents, and she just crying. And I remember Thai teach us that when she got a suffering, so I just be there with her and we breathe together. But tomorrow it comes back, and we do it again, and then next week it just come back, and we do it again, and it just come back over and over. It's very deep suffering. So my question is, beside the daily practice that we try to do, are there any special like therapy or normal guide that we can do at home when one family member have very deep suffering, to overcome it a little bit faster? So thank you.
Hello. Okay. Kính bạch sư ông, kính thưa quý thầy, quý cô, kính thưa các bác, các cô, các anh chị. Dear respected and beloved Thai, dear respected teachers, dear beloved family. Last night there was a 14 mindfulness trainings presentation here in this hall, and there was one question that I feel like we did not have enough time for adequate answer, and I feel like it's very important, so I asked that question again this morning to the panel. The question is, the 14 mindfulness trainings seems to be like the 5 mindfulness trainings, just a little bit more of it. So why do we take the 14 mindfulness trainings while the 14 is just a little bit more of the 5 trainings? Thank you.
Dear community, dear teachers, I'm Keith from the Open Heart Sangha in San Diego, California. And my question is about our development as as teachers. We have for those who wanted to, there was a very well-developed process for taking the 14 mindfulness trainings, which I understand as being a route for Sangha builders. And for those of us who love to teach and aspire to get better and to develop through this teaching as well as practicing for ourselves, there doesn't seem to be any process. And I'm wondering if you think it's appropriate, that it's the way it is, that there's no path for aspiring Dharma teachers, or is that a lack, something to be developed, and what advice do you have for those of us who feel called to teach?
Ditai, dear Sangha. It's not easy for me because I am ashamed. During the retreat francophone, there is a session of question, and I have a dream. And in my dream, Sister Yaknim tell me that I have to put to talk about a question. And in my dream, I tell her, no, I know the answer. The people know that I know the answer. And today, I feel it's the moment to speak about this question. My question is, what is quadruple community? Quadruple, like for community. Fourth community. I am a young Dharma teacher, and I ask where is my place. I work, and I go in a health establishment in my work and with the Dharma. I go during my holidays. I went here. My place is here. Is in my local sangha, in my work. And what is the fourth community? I need to hear you about that. Thank you.
Dear Thai, dear Sangha. Days ago, Sister Chen Kung offered us the microphone to sing a song. When I received the microphone, I felt I was somehow receiving a witness. That from her hands to our hands in the Sangha,
de la lucha contra la guerra en el Vietnam, de la lucha por el apoyo a los refugiados de los barcos.
I felt that we were receiving the heritage of all the suffering in the Vietnam War and of the boat people.
Todas las mañanas en mi ciudad, el mar Mediterráneo baña mis pies.
Every morning in my city, the Mediterranean Sea washes my feet.
Y me dice siempre una misma canción que se llama Idomai, Idomai.
And it sings to me always a same song, which name is
Idomai, Idomai.
Idomai.
Son las costas griegas donde ahora cientos de sirios están ahogándose.
These are the Greek coasts where nowadays hundreds of Syrian people are getting drowned.
Mis amigos afganos sirios que conozco, he podido compartir con ellos.
Friends of mine who are Afghans and Syrians, with whom I've been able to share,
Me están pidiendo
are asking me,
qué podemos hacer para aliviar el sufrimiento.
what can we do to alleviate this suffering?
Vi cómo la hermana Chancón como Tai se organizaron
And I've seen how Sister Chankong and Thai organized.
Mi pregunta es cómo hoy podemos organizarnos ahora de nuevo
So my answer is how we, as an order of interbeing, can organize ourselves again
para ver qué formas podemos desarrollar de aliviar el sufrimiento
to see what means we can arrange to alleviate this suffering
de la guerra que nos rodea en estos momentos por diversos lugares.
of the war that is surrounding us in different places, actually at this time.
Muchas gracias, querida Sangha.
Thank you very much, dear Sangha.
Good morning, beloved community and dear Thai. My name is Natasha and I practice with the Sangha Water in the Wave in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. My question is about practice. For me, practice is like peeling an onion. Peeling an onion, layer after layer and after layer. And the layer that now is very difficult to peel is compulsive, obsessive, negative thinking that arises on its own. And during the day, when we are practicing, it's easy to move away from that. But when I go to bed, there is something inside that it's not even me. I don't know what that is. It just turns that thinking on. And the negative, usually fear-based thinking that maybe comes from my ancestral heritage. I'm from Russia originally. My parents survived Second World War, famine, and a lot of difficulties under Stalin. But it kind of very difficult to stop. It's so compulsive. And I listen to music. I try to, breathe in. It just doesn't help. Almost every night, like up to 2 o'clock, I keep on, in that kind of energy. And I'm in a tent right now, so I can't even go out. So it's just like I'm staying there, and it feels too powerful. And somehow I don't know how to be with it. Okay, thank you.
Maybe just one more question.
Je suis Benoît, je suis de la Sangha de Mexico. Je suis chef d'entreprise. Je passe la plus claire de mon temps à m'occuper de cette entreprise.
Hello everybody. I'm Benoît. I'm from the Sangha of Mexico, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I spend most of my time working.
Si je dégage du temps pour pratiquer le Dharma ou pour aider la communauté, je mets en danger l'entreprise et donc les familles qui en vivent.
If I make some space to practice the Dharma, then I may put in danger the company and the people and the families who live from it.
Mais je peux transformer la compagnie en un outil, pour aider à finir avec la souffrance.
But I can transform the company to make it a tool to end up suffering.
Comment je fais?
How can I do that?
Dear friends, I think that you need to answer Dharma teacher, But first, I would like to remind Richard Brady. Can you tell the story how you can transform without effort to your mom when you stay in winter in Plum Village, and I asked you to write a letter to a love letter to your mom that you have a lot of difficulty with. But after that letter, totally transformation of his mom.
We had a few written questions. Dear Thai, dear Sangha, how do I make tiredness a friend in my practice? I live in Plum Village. Another one, dear Thai, dear Sangha, sometimes when I meditate, I feel a beautiful feeling of space and light, but this feeling often stays in the area of my head. How do I expand this feeling to my whole body? Dear Thai, dear Sangha, if I can never be certain of my perceptions, if perception is deception, then how do I trust myself? And how do I know that the practice is really benefiting myself and the world? How can I really know or trust anything?
So my name is Richard Brady. Dear Thai, dear Sangha, dear Sukho, thank you for asking your question. I was here some years ago for part of the winter retreat. I arrived just after Christmas, and Thai had given the entire community an assignment to create two lists. One was a list of our positive qualities, the other was a list of our negative qualities. He required that the first list be longer than the second list. He asked us, when we finished writing the list, to look deeply at each quality and see its roots, see where it came from. And not surprisingly, almost all of my positive and negative qualities I could find in one or both of my parents. My father had just passed away a few months before. And before he died, in the nursing home where he had Alzheimer's, I had thanked him for the many positive things he had given to our family. My mother was sitting in the room at the same time. And I did not say anything to her, or she did not say anything to me. But sitting here in the Upper Hamlet with my list, I saw that there were a number of positive qualities in me that came from my mother. And I decided that although we did not have this kind of conversation in our family, I could write her from Plum Village and thank her for these positive qualities in me. In fact, when I started to write my letter and looked at the list, I realized that there were many, many more things which were positive, which I just took for granted, but such as her honesty, that not all mothers have. And so it was a long list that I wrote to her. About a week or so later, I was speaking to my partner, Elizabeth, and she told me my mother had been sick, and she thought she would appreciate a phone call. When I spoke to my mother told me that she cried when she read this letter, and she was so grateful to my teacher for having given me this assignment. I didn't include the negative qualities. And she went on to say that she wished she had written such a letter to her own mother. And I said, you still can. In fact, this is something that I have not shared before, but last year I was leading a retreat and I told the story. And one of the people attending the retreat, as a result of the story, wrote a letter to a friend who had passed away a year before, whom she had not been able to say goodbye to and opened her heart to her friend and the deep sadness she had, and was able to cry for the first time. So many of us have dear ones, family members or others who have passed on, and we have not completed our conversations with them. So this story is as much about that as it is about our living friends and relatives. Thank you.
Okay, you want me to answer this? Okay. There are two written questions. I would like to answer this. Before that, I would like to invite one of the bell, please. First, I would like to answer a question from Sister Trung Nghiêm, my younger sister. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Sister Duong Nghiêm. I'm from Thailand. Is that enough? Okay, dear Thai, dear Sangha, how to make of tiredness a friend in my practice? I would not suggest this. Tiredness is a sign of lack of energy. You practice, you should have energy. So there are two different things. When you are tired, it means you lack of energy. Without energy, you cannot practice. You have the tendency to rest and do nothing, and try to not to do anything. You just want to rest. So you should look at your tiredness. Because in the A4 part, there are one element called right diligent. If you practice and you feel tired, something wrong with the practice. There's something wrong. If you practice and you have joy and peace, happy, you're eager to do it more and more because you want more happiness. So whenever you practice and you feel tired, You have to look back your way of practice. For example, when I try to do sitting meditation and I want to do hours and hours, 30 minutes is not enough. In Plum Village, we do sitting only 30 minutes. And it's not enough for some people. For us, it's enough. Because if you know how to enjoy the sitting, 30 minutes is enough. You can do another thing to enjoy, like walking meditation. If you know how to do the walking meditation, you can enjoy the walking meditation. You don't need to do sitting meditation for many hours. Sometimes we do sitting meditation for hours and hours, and then we get so tired because you have to make your body very straight and firm, and that's how you get tired. In the practice, there is no fighting. When you fight, there are two kinds of energy in your body and make you tired. So if you know that they are fighting, something is wrong. So you have to ask yourself from time to time, even you do the walking meditation, you do sitting meditation, or eating in silence. Sometimes eating in silence is a kind of hard time for some people. Why can't we talk while we eat? There's more joyful when eating and talking, right? When we have a lazy day, we love to eat and talk. So there's something wrong if you feel something awkward in the practice. We have to look back. Some people really want to do the practice well. Sometimes they do sitting meditation, they feel sleepy and they're so afraid of that. Something wrong. How can I not do sitting and not sleeping? Because every time I go to the meditation hall, I fall asleep. And I told them that maybe because you lack of sleep. And in the sitting meditation hall, many people send energy of peace, so you feel so peaceful. So go to sleep. Why sitting? Why not? Why you have to fight with the sitting? When you get enough sleep, even we ask you to lie down, you cannot sleep. So just listen to your body. And that is the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness means bring your mind back to the present moment, to the here and the now, but not the time, even the space and your own body and your mind. So if your body needs sleep, just go to sleep, even you do sitting. That's how you learn to take care of your body and your mind. When you get so tired of thinking too much, then don't think. What's wrong with thinking? And what's wrong not without thinking? Just listen to the body and the mind. And then you can enjoy the practice. You feel, so practice so easy. I don't have to find and to do anything. Yes, you don't have to do anything. You just listen to it. Mindfulness means listen to it. Listen to what's going on around you. Sometimes at night, you can hear the sound and the voice of the nature. You just learn to listen. This is mindfulness. When you do walking meditation, you learn to listen to your step. When you do sitting meditation, you learn to listen your body and the sound around you. Just learn to be there. That is the practice. The practice brings you to be here and the now. Nothing else. Because our tendency of running, thinking many things, not in the present moment. When you do the thing, you do, but without knowing that you are doing. That's why the practice of mindfulness just asks you to go back to the here and the now. So if you feel sleepy, just go to sleep. Even in the sitting position, it's okay. Not falling down. I remember long time ago, one of my younger sisters, at that time she was 13 years old. and she had to wake up early and do sitting meditation with us. And she falls asleep like this. And some of the lay friends who sit next to her, so afraid that she's falling down on her side, so they're moving away from her. Because she's winging too much. But very strange that she's not falling, even she's moving a lot. I'm afraid that she bumped her head to the wall because she's the youngest, so she's close to the wall. That's what I'm worried, because I sit in the front, and when we turn back and I look to my younger sister, and I saw her moving around like this, and then our lay friend moving away from her, two sides, give her a big space. I didn't say that she didn't practice well. I know because of the age, she needs more sleep. And she do her best to be there with us, even in sleep. The practice not is for fighting. So if you get tired, maybe something wrong with your practice. So look it back. And tiredness is not our enemy. You don't need to make it a friend. Everything inside of us is us. Your tiredness, your laziness, your anger, your suffering, everything is us. Everything within you is you. You don't have to make a change. You just recognize it, and knowing it exists within ourselves. And learn how to understand all the mental formation is arising in you. And that is the practice of mindfulness. And if you know everything is within you, then you feel like, oh, I don't have to do anything. That's why when the Buddha said, you are already a Buddha. So my answer is, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to make everything become a friend. Because if you think of, you have to do something in order to arrive to some state, then you have to make it, you have to do, and you have to find, you have to look around, searching around. The practice is right here. Just recognizing it and live with it. It's like our illness. The second question, dear Thai, dear Sangha, sometimes when I meditate, I feel a beautiful feeling of space and light, but this feeling stays in the area of my head. How to expand this feeling to my whole body? Like I said from the beginning, the practice is a kind of energy. And energy needs some time to spend. It's like when you turn on the radiator in the room, it takes some time from there to your place in order you start to feel warmer. It takes time. Otherwise, you have to go there. You have to move and make a change. Everything is happening inside of you, just patient. Just being there, stay still, and slowly it will come up. The inside, many people when they practice, they're eager to have insight. They have eager to have freedom, eager to get into nirvana. They have too much eagerness. They want a shortcut. It's like you plant a tree. There's no shortcut for the tree to get a flower right away in a few days. No shortcut. The practice, no shortcut. It takes time. The energy, it takes time to manifest. So if you feel like it's just on your head, continue. It might go down to your feet. If you have that eagerness, you cannot, your practice is not well enough. There's still eagerness, it's not right. You have to be free from beginning when you do the practice. You have to be free. Even we say we practice, but you have to be free right from beginning. When I do the practice of walking meditation, it doesn't mean you do the practice meditation and then you have freedom. You have to be free right from the first step you take. Because if they have something you have to wait for, or you have to look for something in order to gain something, you lose your practice. You lose the aim of the practice. There's no aim. When I say aim, but there's no aim. Most of us, we practice, take us so long to have peace and the feeling of freedom, because you have too much eagerness, too much expectation for things. You're asking too much. So the first thing we have to learn is to let go of anything we're asking for. You should not ask for anything. If you learn the practice of walking meditation, just do a walking meditation. Don't ask, can I practice walking meditation and then transform my suffering? If you're looking for that, it takes you longer time to transform your suffering. That's how I realized after many years. And that the insight is come up first time. It come up to me. The insight of not asking too much. And most of us, we know that. But we're still asking for that. We're still searching for that and looking for it. And that's the reason why we get nowhere. Because it's right here. Okay, thank you for listening.
Beloved Thai, beloved community, I wanted to collapse a few of these questions. What is the Fourfold Sangha? At one level, you're looking at it. It's a monk, a nun, a layman, and a laywoman. And at another level, it's a koan and a mystery. This is a very courageous thing we're doing this retreat. And I'm really inspired by this practice that we're doing to see what we can do to come together as a Fourfold Sangha. It's not so easy. When we were in Thailand, I was on a Q&A with Sister and Thai Phap Nim and my husband Larry. And some of the Thai people cried when they saw the four of us together. Some of them cried because they saw the Dharma wheel turn and they were so happy. Some of them cried because it was so scary for them. Because in Thailand, we were supposed to be below and beneath the monastics. And so it was really startling, and it was really a difficult practice for me, because just being there, I was causing someone to feel suffering. So that was very difficult. I did all I could to just be kind to myself, because it was like, oh, there's nothing you can do. You're just going to upset this person. But fortunately, Sister is such a rock star. And Thai Phap Nim is also a rock star. So we were able to sit there together and know that something historic was occurring. So this retreat has some of that history, that our beloved teacher and many of us have held from our first breath. And my first breath 26 years ago was that I saw there was some beautiful healing that could occur if we could bridge together. And so I'm grateful that we have this opportunity to be curious and explore and let it be a koan of how we can best support each other. The 14 mindfulness trainings, when I first went to a retreat, I had never heard of much anything Buddhist at all. I found the books too hard to read, too intellectual for my learning style. I'm a body person, so I'd pick one up and it would go out the door. But the minute I heard about the Bodhisattva path and bodhicitta and Thai's vision of the 14 mindfulness trainings, I wanted to sign up. And I had come to the retreat recently widowed. I was very aware that I could die. I was very aware that I could die any moment. Since my husband walked out the door and didn't return, I knew I could die. So I was really a problem at that retreat because I wanted to receive the 14 mindfulness trainings right then and there. So I followed the rules and received the 5 and started a sangha. And I believe all those steps were very important for me to practice, to start a sangha, to practice with the sangha, to have a mentor, to continue to explore what was calling me. Because what called me was something that was beyond words. I felt myself pulled. I saw myself seen. I've always been a bodhisattva. I just didn't know that word. And coming to a retreat with your heart broken, those of you that are here with broken hearts, that's good news. That's good news. The bodhicitta just rises on its own and we flower in this environment. And I'm sorry that it hurts so much. And that is how the mind of love develops in us. So it was my joy to receive the 14 a few years later in Plum Village. And that retreat in 1994, Larry and I were married here. I received the 14, and I graduated from college. So it was Dr. Reverend Mrs. And all of them were connected to my dream of the Fourfold Sangha. So I think we need to dream together. We need to play together. We need to pray together. We need to practice together to explore your dream, Laurence. And before I give the mic up, I just want to what a beautiful listener you are. What a rock you are. And I just really want to sit and appreciate your good, kind heart. And thank you for that. And Natasha, what a great listener you are. What a kind and loving presence you are to yourself. And I want to thank you for your beautiful listening.
Dear respected Thai, dear brothers and sisters, first, my name is Brother Stream, Brother for Blue. I live here in Plum Village, and I just want to thank the the inspiration for this retreat, the brothers and sisters who organize it, the Sangha that supports it. I feel every day is, like Peggy shared, it's a miracle to have this kind of teaching happening. So I just first want to acknowledge the beauty of what's happening here. I like Thai's definition of a Dharma teacher is someone who can be happy. It's not so complicated. So can you be happy right now? Can you be happy tomorrow? Can you be happy in those moments when difficult thoughts are coming? Are you able to see what's happening, stop and breathe, transform it into joy? You know, see the root of that joy in your suffering. See the connection. Realize that in every moment. It's not that complicated, but it's doing it again and again and again. It took me maybe, I think I realized about 10 or 11 years to see how solid the foundation of the mindfulness trainings is, and how much space and stability it provides. When we stop and come back to our breath, and in that moment we're able to calm our body and our mind. So there's this immediate effect, but I see the mindfulness trainings operate at a bit of a slower pace. But there's a lot of space. It's quite ample. So having a foundation like that makes it much easier to transform a situation of sorrow. So the brother shared about the crying, and I was reflecting on how we can make a habit of sorrow without being aware. So we need to see how we can allow the emotion to arise, but how do we embrace it? And how do we notice that this is a habit energy that's happening? And it's not easy to help someone else, especially if we also get caught in that sadness, in that sorrow. There was one teacher who came to me recently, and she'd been trying to help someone having a difficult time, a lot of sorrow, and just a lot of talking about all the suffering over many, many days. And so I think that we listen deeply, but we also notice that there's a pattern happening. And one thing that kind of a contract we make when we arrive here is that we can suffer, but we also make we engage ourselves to practice. That is engaged Buddhism in its essence. Of course, by extension, it means helping other people, helping the situation of refugees, helping a situation of poverty, of mental illness. But it always starts with what I'm doing right now, and what kind of joy and happiness am I able to realize right now in the present moment. So we can invite. So I suggested to that teacher, well, I think you can say, okay, I want you to practice for 3 days. then come back to me. Then I will continue to practice deep listening, but not until then. So we make an agreement. We're here to practice. We're not here just to water our seed of suffering without end. And there's a question about negative thinking, and I think it's related. I really like this teaching of the Buddha on the 3 kinds of action: the actions of mind, actions of speech, and actions of body, because it gives me a more clear and direct access to my own well-being. With so many things happening in the world, so many things flashing by on the screen of the internet, of the newspapers, and we feel helpless. We feel we cannot do anything to change the situation. But in these 3 aspects of our thinking, our speech, and our bodily action, we have a lot of capacity to make a change in every moment. So when I look at the habits of thinking, I'm very aware that there's a cause for that thinking. It is not without a cause. And I'm aware that every moment where I put my attention is affecting how I experience things in time to come. So I'm planting seeds by putting my attention on a person, on a conversation, on a news article, on a violent image, or on a flower, on the sun, on a child learning how to crawl across the grass. I know that wherever I put my attention, I'm watering seeds in my consciousness. And that seeds affects the current of my thinking. And that has also come to me from my parents. It's come to me from the culture that I grew up in. So there are many seeds. And I know that where I put my attention, whether it's on my thinking internally, whether it's on my things outside, through my eyes, my ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, I know that I'm affecting that stream. I'm guiding it. I'm determining its course in time to come. That's why I learn how to transform that situation right now, to change the CD, right? And do it again and again. So we talk about changing the CD. It's like our thinking is happening, and we feel like we're just passively experiencing it, but we can actually change that thinking. We can change it to something that brings joy. We can touch the seed of joy in us without even having to think of anything. We can allow ourselves just to be totally at ease with who we are, where we are, right now. Just being aware of our breath. Just sitting here together. Not being worried that we need to just say more words or think more words. Just allowing that ease in that space, and it becomes a habit. And so, yes, there's the habit of negative thinking, but there's a habit of feeling ease. And I like to think of thinking as, I see thinking now more and more as like they say about tango, right? It takes 2 to tango. And without attention, thinking cannot arise. So we play an intimate role. Yes, those seeds are there in our consciousness, but it requires our attention in order for the thinking to take place. Without attention, the thought cannot manifest. It's a necessary condition for our thinking. So the question is more about how do we learn how to understand how to guide our attention. We call it appropriate attention. And it happens not only with outside things, but also internally. So by learning how to come back to our breath, for example, we learn appropriate attention. It's a very concrete thing. It's not abstract. We bring our attention away from our thinking, from our worries, our regrets, our thinking about the past and the future, and we just completely dissolve into our breath. We let all of that attention just go completely into the sensation of the in-breath and the out-breath. And we have the bell. Maybe we can listen to a bell. And just try it. Practice no thinking. Just being completely at ease with just whatever is happening right now. Just the breath, the body, this present moment. The Sangha is so beautiful. And then the thinking comes back. It's okay. You know, there are gaps there. And so see if you can, one thing I practice is to widen those gaps. So yes, there's negative thinking, but there are also moments when there's no thinking. And I practice to make those gaps wider and to increase the joy and the happiness in those gaps. And not expect a miracle, not expect that everything is going to change right now. Total transformation. It's not like that. But if we learn this technique of appropriate attention, then we notice a change. And with the mindfulness trainings, we have that solid foundation. And we have a lot of space to move, to play. It's a joy. I appreciated Danielle's question. I don't know, I met yesterday, I think it's Gigi? Jihad? Yeah. Your family is from Syria, right? Yeah. I don't know if you would like to respond to the question that Daniel asked of how we can help as the order of interbeing.
Dear Thai, dear Sangha.
Io sono Jihad.
My name is Jihad.
E sono nato in Siria.
I was born in Syria.
Mio padre viene dalla Tunisia e mia madre dalla Palestina.
My father comes from Tunisia and my mom from Palestine.
E sono nato e cresciuto in Siria fino a 12 anni, sono stato lì.
I was born and grew up in Syria and I was there until 12.
E poi siamo andati con mia mamma e i miei fratelli in Italia.
And then together with my mom and my brothers we went to Italy.
E nel giorno in cui siamo partiti era il 2 giugno del 2000.
And the day we left it was the 2 of June of the year 2000.
Ed ero così tanto triste e piangevo moltissimo.
And I was really sad and I was crying a lot.
E dopo tantissimi anni adesso vedo che quelle lacrime si sono trasformate nella gioia, perché non sono più in Siria ma sono qua e non sono dentro la guerra, ma sono in Italia in un posto al sicuro.
And after many years, this tears also turned into joy because now I can notice that I'm not in Syria, now I'm here, and I live in Italy and not in the midst of war, but in a safe place.
E dall'altra parte ci sono i miei parenti, i miei fratelli, i miei nipoti, mia nonna in Siria.
On the other side, there is my nephews, my grandmother, and then people of my family in Syria.
E mi sono chiesto molte volte cosa potevo fare.
And I asked myself very often, what could I do?
Ho cercato di raccogliere soldi grazie alle cene siriane, col cibo, facendo vedere dei video riguardanti la storia della Siria, la bellezza della Siria.
And I tried to raise funds, organizing some Syrian dinners where we would show some movies and films about like the culture and the history of Syria and the beauty of Syria, and try to raise money in this way.
Però i soldi non sono un mezzo.
But I see the money are not a mean.
È solo in una direzione e non c'è quell'apprezzamento di vita, ecco, di quello che non c'è quell'apprezzamento di vita, insomma, i soldi non sono abbastanza, non è quello che la gente ha bisogno.
Because it goes only one direction, and with the money there is not that kind of appreciation for life, and I feel that it's not exactly the only thing people need.
E i soldi creano dipendenza, quindi la gente si ferma là in Siria e aspetta che io faccia qualcosa per loro e mandi sempre i soldi.
And I see the money they create some kind of dependency. I feel like people over there in Syria, they stop doing and they just start waiting for me to do something.
Però dall'altra parte i soldi non sono necessari per vivere, perché i prezzi sono molto alti. Per di un chilo di zucchine adesso vale 1.000 euro. 1.000 lire, che sono l'equivalenza. Prima era 1 euro e poi sono aumentati, adesso il prezzo è come equivalenza 1.000 euro.
In Syria? Perché and also, sorry. And also, but also it's very true that the money are very like needed for life, because the equivalent of what was a kilo of zucchini in Syria back then was about €1. Now it's equivalent to something like €1,000.
I miei fratelli hanno fatto il viaggio nei barconi, uno dall'Egitto e l'altro invece via terra attraverso la Turchia, la Grecia, i Balcani, fino ad arrivare in Germania.
My brothers did. One of them did a trip with the boats, so they left from Egypt and they went to Europe. And my other brothers went through land, so they passed through Turkey, the Balkans, and they went to Germany.
Io potevo solo pregare per loro.
And I could only pray for them.
E nient'altro.
And nothing else.
E a febbraio sono stato in Germania e io ringrazio tanto i tedeschi per quello che fanno, gli altri paesi per il popolo siriano.
In February I was in Germany and I really thank a lot what the German people and other countries they're doing for the Syrians.
E l'unica cosa che potevo fare con i miei fratelli e i miei cugini, gli altri miei parenti, è ascoltare e chiedere a loro di raccontare la loro storia, e io potevo solo ascoltare.
And the only thing I could do with my brothers, with my relative, my cousins, it was simply to ask them to tell me their story, and I was only enabled to sit there and listen.
Questo è.
And this is it. Thank you.
Dear Thai, dear Sangha, I would like to add to my brother Jid's what he has shared, so personally from his own experience. We know that there is all kinds of suffering in this world. It's not only because of war, it's also because of climate change. And it's also because of the values in the Western world that have led to a disconnection of the heart. And my own field is education. I've been very worried about the young people and the suffering of young people. And there are, of course, thousands and thousands, millions of school teachers. And there are many who one would hope would be trying to relieve the suffering of young people, just as the activists are trying to help in situations of war, in situations of natural disasters. There's so much suffering. And people who are on the front lines, whether it's in war, working, trying to save refugees from the water, or trying to save children in the inner city from drugs and gangs, it is very easy to burn out if you have dedicated your life to this kind of work. In 1993, I attended a retreat for social activists with Thai. And many of the social activists who came to that retreat were very tired. They did not know how they could sustain their work because they were dealing with so much suffering and they were absorbing it. And they did not have our practice. And Thai understood that the greatest contribution that he could make to these dear people, these dear sisters and brothers, was to give them our practice so that they could take it back to the many different areas of the world, many different kinds of work that they did. And do it from that place of peace, not anger. Do it as a Sangha. Take the model of the Order of Interbeing out, just as the School of Youth for Social Services did in Vietnam, from a place of meditation, from a place of stillness, from a place of love. I have been involved in the Wake Up Schools program, and this is exactly what Thai is doing in the area of education. The first stage of Wake Up Schools is to support teachers, to help teachers develop their own practice, so that when they go into their classrooms, they will not be angry at the students who are misbehaving, because they will know that these students are suffering. They will understand, and they will have compassion for the students and for themselves. And the second level of this program matches Dharma teachers with school teachers. And the purpose of this year-long program, which is just starting, is to again support school teachers in their practice and their understanding of the practice so that they can share the practice that has brought us so much with their students. And even more importantly, in a way, with their colleagues so that it can multiply. And that eventually some of these school teachers will move to the third level, which is that of offering retreats, offering workshops for other teachers to share this practice. So what the Order of Interbeing has to offer to this world that is special to the Order of Interbeing is Plum Village practice. Many of us are involved on the front lines also in helping, as are thousands and thousands of other people. But we have to help those other people who do not have the practice. And we can give it to them in many different ways. And my brother here said, if you are in touch with happiness in yourself, even in times of suffering, you are teaching the Dharma. So we, whether we're Order of Interbeing members, whether we're Dharma teachers, whether we're just here for the first time, we are learning this practice. And it is our happiness that can help and sustain our sisters and brothers who are doing many wonderful and very challenging things in this world.
Are we out of time? 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 No. Okay. I thought I'd say something quick, then give it to you. To all the business people out here, and is it Benoit, the Frenchman in Mexico, and the rest of us? I want to encourage you to look at mindfulness as a culture and not just an event or an educational offering, but that you're looking at a cultural transformation of the workplace. So you're going to need a team to support you and really look at your organization and see how it can infuse it. And I also want to encourage you to start small. We were brought in by an international school to offer mindfulness in Thailand. And we had 800 students in 40 countries. And the administrator brought us in and wanted us to make everyone be mindful. And we said, no. But let's start really small. So we started what we called Take 5. And every morning in Thailand, you have to do the flag. There's a song for the king. It's really beautiful. And all the kids have to line up. And right after we sang to the king, we would do a Take 5, and we'd take 5 breaths. So that was how we started with that school system, and we found our lead birds. We found the people that were interested in more training, and then we also put up signs, and we did this in another school system in California. Is anybody having trouble at home? Does anybody want to improve their sport game? How about your musician artistry? Do you want to improve that? Does anybody have any trouble with study skills? So we had a first group at a high school where we had the jocks, we had the musicians, we had the kids that were having trouble with tests, and the kids that had trouble at home. And it was a wonderful opportunity for all these groups that had never gotten together to be together and practice mindfulness. And then we had them work with the junior high kids. And then we had the junior high kids work with the grade school kids. So it was a pass it down. But I just wanted to encourage you to go for it. There's plenty of research that will support you. Maybe it's just starting your meetings with a breathing break, but finding your team and looking at it as a cultural transformation of how it can infuse everything. For example, do people eat lunch at their desks? Or is there a way that lunch can be a real break? For example, how do you start your meetings? So just some different things like that. And also to Tun and Natasha, those depression and obsessive compulsive behavior are a continuum of behavior. And there's times when the practice works beautifully, and there's times when we need professional help. So I do want to just put that out there. I would start with a Dharma teacher or a Dharma friend and coach, and all of the wonderful suggestions that we've all had here. But there's also time when another level of skill can help with our practice. And one more quick thing on the doubt thing. Doubt, there is an old Bob Newhart skit. This is really old, an old TV character in the United States. And in this skit, he plays a therapist. And he has a big sign up that he'll cure any problem for $5. So everybody comes in and they puts down their $5 and they come in with this really difficult situation. And then he just says, "Stop it." He takes their $5. Next person comes in, "Stop it." So there's a level of that with the doubt that does need to find your kind voice with "stop it." And for myself, when I had a chapter where I was overwhelmed with doubt, it really helped to start really simply with, what do I know for sure? That the sun will come up. So what do I know for sure? That the sun will set. What do I know for sure? That the light will turn on when I turn the switch on. So each day I added, what do I know for sure? And took a few moments. And I also had a watch that beeped every 15 seconds to remind me to breathe and to really get grounded into the experience of being an earthling. I'm an earthling. I'm in the earth school. We're here together. And the more I could remember my feet on the ground and remind myself to breathe, and that there's a lot of true and good things that are happening, like the light will turn on, hopefully every time you turn it on, and that my feet, the sun will come up and the sun will set and the stars will come out some nights, and some nights they're hidden.
Just for those who are interested, on October 1st to 7th, we'll have a retreat for business people. So Benoit, I'd like to invite you to bring some of your company here for the retreat. We'd like to do it, a number of companies are bringing their teams here, maybe 6 or 7 people. And how can we turn our business into a tool of, a path of transformation?
I think we can finish. I think it's time for walking meditation. Maybe we just enjoy the 3 sound bell to end today's session. Thank you very much for listening.